name is Alex Gardner, and today I'm going to be teaching you about salvia and how it was used in ancient Latin American societies. First off, I'm going to start by describing salvia a little bit and giving some background information on it. Salvia is a highly potent psychoactive drug that was also an extremely vital and important ancient grain. It was used by the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Mazatec societies, along with other Latin American societies, but those are ancient civilizations. But those are the three that I'm going to be focusing in on today. These societies use salvia for many purposes, the most popular being for medicinal reasons or to produce the super grain chia. Salvia is a sage endemic or native to a small region of Mexico. That region can be it's around the Aztec to the Mayan regions as outlined on the map on the right, which makes sense why those civilizations use the plant, because it was easily at their disposal. The plant thrives in sunny conditions with dry soil, which makes it ideal for western Mexico. It was first cultivated and used by the Mazatec people of Oaxaca, Mexico, but obviously its use gained popularity and spread throughout the rest of Latin America. So here is, on the right we have a small representation map of the Mazatec region, or the Oaxaca region of Mexico. As you can see, there is the little highlighted region, the Mazatecs, and the overall Oaxaca region, which is where salvia was grown, along with where the Mazatec tribe, settled. And so Oaxaca, Mexico is a arid and mountainous region, as described by Victoriano de Baez's book Contenido de Historia de Oaxaca. Describes Oaxaca as a somewhat mountainous region with the Andes Mountains coming from the south and splitting into two different mountain ranges in a northern district. The Mazatec people, this then puts the Mazatec people in a perfect place to harvest and use these substances. The Mazatec people use salvia for spiritual ceremonies, along with for the treatment of conditions like arthritis, inflammation, gastrointestinal problems, headaches, and addictions. Another point, though, is that that these types of substances held a very high value in their society, and the Mazatecs are famous for their use of magic mushrooms, of salvia, and many other plants. And this is proven through the two codexes or ancient artifact sources that I have. On the left I have the Codex Vienna, and on the right I have the Codex Barbonicus, which both show many instances and examples of the Mazatec spiritual divination process, and how it involved different types of plants and mushrooms and things like that were drank, that were crushed, that were taken. And there are references to shrub-like salvia plants in these codexes, which, obviously, and these codexes are important because they show the ceremonial side of the Mazatec tribe and what ceremonies were like, when they happened, why they would happen. And so, and another, as previously stated, the Mazatec people use salvia for a number of medicinal and spiritual purposes, and these codexes kind of prove that. Another thing is, the Mazatec tribe called salvia things like hierba de Maria, which means Mary's herb, Mary and Joseph from religious context. They also called the plant hojas de la pastora, or the shepherdess's leaves, which symbolize the plant's religious connotation and how the plant was viewed in Mazatec society as, a tool for spiritual divination. The next society that I'm going to discuss and how they use salvia are the Aztecs, which right here we have a map on the left which shows the Aztec Empire, and then on the right I have a picture of the Codex Feher Veri Maya. So the Aztecs were all a civilization also native to the western parts of Mexico and the modern southwestern United States. There's documented evidence of the Aztecs occupying parts of Utah, Nevada, California, and Arizona. The reason this is important is that all of these regions of North America have hot and arid climates that are able to support the growth of salvia. Along with this is the fact that many of these ancient sites were spaces used for spiritual and religious ceremonies, which helps explain why the Aztecs might have used salvia in these parts of Mexico and the United States. So having these all these religious spots and in places that can support the growth of these substances very much suggests that the substances were used, salvia especially. And I'm gonna jump back here, but on my right I have a picture of the Codex Mendoza, which the Codex Mendoza was written by Antonio Mendoza and helps explain how the Aztecs settled into their land and how their religion interacted with their history. The reason this is important is that the Codex Mendoza also mentions how the Aztec people valued their natural surroundings and used the native plants around them for everyday purposes. As you can see here on this picture, the Codex Mendoza, there are many shrub-like looking plants painted and drawn, as these shrubs and these plants were very common in Aztec drawings, as they held, kind of like a high symbol. And then on the left is a picture of the super grain chia, which was, one of the super grains of the Aztec civilization. And along with this, the Codex Mayer has multiple depictions of rituals and ceremonies involving plants, seeds, and other substances. Some depictions even show these substances being drunk, which is one of the ways that salvia can be consumed. But as previously mentioned, the Aztecs' biggest use of salvia involved the creation of the super grain chia. Chia is an extremely nutritious grain that holds many beneficial natural properties. Along with that, it's gluten-free and can help lower the chances of many kind of like lifelong difficulties and illnesses and stuff. Although the documented evidence of the Aztec spiritual use of salvia is limited, there's extended proof of its use in the making of chia. Even today, chia is still considered one of the strongest and most beneficial grains out there. Now, along with the Mazatecs and the Aztecs were the Mayan civilization, which was also known to have used the plant salvia. Salvia was utilized so frequently by the Mayans that it earned its own word in the Tezcatlipoca, which is their language, plant classification. It was used by the Mayans to create chia and for religious purposes with the intent to induce psychoactive effects. The Mayans valued salvia as a spiritual healer that could help guide and enlighten lost souls. This is proven through the discovery of the ancient Mayan poison bottles, which have occasionally been found containing resin and residue from entheogenic substances. And here's an image of one of the poison bottles on the left. These poison bottles often contained, the substances that were used to kind of create effects. And, many of these bottles that are ancient artifacts have been found, still with a little bit of residue of tobacco or of other entheogenic plants. And along with this, the Mayans valued it as a super beneficial grain and source of fiber. It is well known that the Mayans valued their agriculture, as the Mayan sun calendar was created and established in order to follow the seasonal growth of plants. On the left, I have a picture of the Mayan sun calendar, which basically was at the center of Mayan society, but was created in order to maximize and capitalize off the changing of the seasons and the harvests. Salvia was highly valued in ancient Latin American cultures, but mainly as an element of the nutritious grain chia. On the left, I have a picture of a farm, and then on the right, I have a picture of salvia, the psychoactive product. This is what you would consume in order to produce psychoactive effects. And the plant still remains somewhat mysterious, but it needs to be respected, as its strengths and properties aren't fully understood. Maybe that's why there's a somewhat lack of evidence of its psychoactive use, but regardless of its potency, the plant was vital to these civilizations. And salvia was by these civilizations, mainly used as chia, but it was also heavily used by them for medical purposes, along with divination purposes. And as our culture grows, we're tending to use salvia more as a recreational substance, which will be interesting to see how it goes. And yeah, thank you for tuning in.